Hi, good morning. How are you? It's so good to have you here. This Facebook Live will last about 30 minutes, and we're going to talk about mental paralysis and emotional distress. Our special guest today is an American silver medalist in wheelchair basketball, an NWBA national champion, and a four times All Star MVP. And he also has two World Guinness records, and he is a writer and a speaker. If you want to find out more about our next Facebook Lives, I'm going to leave you the link so you can subscribe. Most of our Facebook Live are in Spanish, but sometimes we have them in English. I want to remind you that my company, Excede tu Potencial, has the purpose of helping companies minimizing the effects of this invisible enemy of stress, responsible for many issues in the companies. As a transformational coach, I also help successful professionals to release their inner mental jail built throughout life about stress and other things so they can have a fulfilled and balanced life. So it's for me an honor to introduce you to Jeff Griffin, an extraordinary man living life from a wheelchair. He has accomplished some extraordinary things in his life. He played in the 2004 Paralympic Games and is a silver medalist in wheelchair basketball. He's a four-time All-Star MVP. Also, he won the St. George Marathon, and he has two World Guinness records and wrote an award-winning book called I'm Possible, Desire, Dream, and so Jeff, it's truly an honor to have you here sharing your experiences with my audience. Could you please share something else about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you so much, Stephanie, for letting me be here with your audience. Just for the fact that, I'm super honored. We met in Sweden.
Yeah, that's right. A year ago.
Yeah, and it was fantastic. We met at the 8th World Congress on Excellence in Mind Training and in Sports, and we just hit it off. You are an amazing person, so thank you so much for letting me be here with your group. Thanks for letting me communicate this message in English. Gracias para todos. Viví en España por 2 años, pero se me olvidó casi todo. Entonces, hablaremos inglés.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff. Is there something else you want to tell our audience before we start?
Absolutely. You can't see this. As Stephanie mentioned before, I am in a wheelchair. I was given a life sentence, fell 40 feet, given a life sentence to live life from a wheelchair. They was giving me a 0% chance of ever standing, walking, or moving my legs again. Some people gave me a 0% chance of having kids. Others gave me a 0% chance of getting married, not because of my wheelchair, but just because of who I am. But completely joking on that one. But 20 years later, I'm still with the same woman. Don't know how I convinced her to say yes, but I do know how I've convinced her to stay with me. And we have 4 beautiful children. And I'm learning how to stand again, to walk again, and to move forward in life and pick up the pieces. And so I'm so super excited to share some things. I may be physically paralyzed, Stephanie, but I think most of us, if not all of us, are paralyzed from the demons of doubt, fear, and complacency, which keeps us from listening to that music that sings in our soul, that keeps us from orchestrating and conducting the music that's inside of us, and it's keeping us from taking those steps to chase down our dreams. And I believe all of us have that power and potential inside of us, the ability to do that, but we just don't know the secret to success. And so anyway, I'm excited to share those secrets, share some of the things that I've discovered in this journey that I've gone through. And so thank you so much for letting me be here.
No, thank you, Jeff. And, I want to share with the audience last year when Jeff presented in the Congress, one thing that he did that for me, and my tears ran out of down my cheeks, and it was a very exciting moment, is when I saw him walk. He walked a distance, I think it was like 15 meters, like what, 5 feet. It was amazing seeing him, like his will, his strength, of living the life he wants to live. And this is something that it marked me. It was like, wow. And I admire you, Jeff. And I told you since last year that we met. And I think you're an amazing human being. You have achieved so much. And this is like an amazing thing. So people learn that we all can do it. We all can do it. We have, that capacity, and we don't put trust in ourselves.
Right. And I believe that we do. We all have the power and potential inside of us to accomplish our dreams and desires. And the problem is we forget who we are. We forget the potential we have. We forget we live beneath our potential. We live beneath our privileges because we don't know who we are, because other people have told us what we aren't. Other people have told us, really, it's a reflection of them.
Exactly.
It's a reflection of them. And so, unfortunately, we reject what we don't understand, and we base our possibilities on what we know.
That's right.
So that's right. The paradox there. I'm like, we've forgotten who we are. And so that's one thing that I really, really love doing is to help ignite the fire, ignite the eternal tinder inside of every one of us, because we are royalty. We have royal DNA. And so let's become who we were created to be.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And thank you for bringing this up and showing us how to start doing it, because we forgot. We were born with that, and we forgot along the way,
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
Absolutely.
But yeah, and I want to ask our audience so we can start a conversation with you guys. I love when the audience starts participating. So if you have any questions for Jeff, just please feel free to ask him. And meanwhile, I want to ask you guys, what's the biggest challenge you have faced in your life? If you can share that with us, if it's something going on right now, or if it's something in the past, what has been the biggest challenge in your life? And while you tell us that, we were talking about how, Jeff broke his back falling 40 feet from scaffolding, and was giving, like he said, 0% chance of ever walking again. So, Jeff, how does someone get back up from a difficult challenge and begin again?
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, to your audience, in case you are a little hesitant to respond in English, I can understand Spanish quite well, and I can understand your questions. And so, if you want to answer, answer in Spanish, that'd be fantastic. And one thing before I answer that, Stephanie, I also want to just quickly ask a question as well, the follow-up question to yours. What I do when I go and talk to every audience I speak to, I always ask them 3 simple questions. I ask them to stand up if they've ever experienced one of 4 things. And the first thing I ask them is, please stand up if you've ever experienced in the past being paralyzed from the demons of doubt, fear, and complacency. And so if you've ever experienced the paralysis, the mental paralysis of doubt, fear, and complacency, give a little thumbs up or a hand or a raise, or say, you know what? Yeah, absolutely. I've experienced that. And I keep them standing. And then I ask the next question. I'm like, please stand up and remain standing if you ever, found it difficult to find the desire to refuel the fire of your dreams, right? Have you ever experienced, where you've just struggled trying to find that desire? And then, of course, the third one is please stand up if your methods to motivate have fallen short of expectations, if not flat on your face, right? So give me a little hands up or a stand up or whatever it is. And so by this time, the audience is almost completely standing up on their feet. And then the last question I want to ask is, please stand up if you've ever placed limits or others have placed limits on your dreams.
Yeah.
So by this time, I would say the whole place is open. The whole place is standing. I did go to an assembly for high school kids, and there's a little pocket of kids over there like, nah, I'm perfect. I'm not going to stand up. No way, no how. And I'm like, okay, that's fine as well. But I want them to look around. Just observe what's going on. Look around, and I want you guys to understand that you are not alone. You are not alone. Everyone has challenges. Everyone has problems. And unfortunately, we spend too much energy talking about the problem and not enough time on the solutions. Because I believe that every problem under the sun has a solution or it has none. If there be one, hurry and find it. If there be none, never mind it. Mm-hmm. And too often we just love to talk about the problems and the challenges, and we don't spend enough time on the solutions. And so those are the 4 questions that I ask everybody that I go and talk to. Have you been paralyzed in the past? Do you find it difficult to refuel the fire of desire? And have your methods that you've used to motivate fallen short of expectations, if not fallen on your face? And of course, the 4th one, do you place limits on your dreams? And so absolutely. And what I found here is, to answer your question is, I discovered something that has really helped me deal with challenges. Because a lot of people are like, Griff, you must have been born super positive, or you must have been, a natural, optimist. I'm like, no, not really. I would complain all the time. I would think of the worst case scenarios, but there, along this whole process here, and I wish we had more time to do that, but you go to griffinmotivation.com and take a look at some of the videos that we have. You can go to YouTube and look at some of these other things as well to find out a little bit more about my journey. But I discovered some things along this journey because when I was a little kid, my dream was to play football in college. I had this desire and dream to play football in college, and I'm like, that's the first thing that we want to do here is, in order for us to find success, especially dealing with these challenges, we've got to understand the 3-step series to success, 3-part series to success, which is first, you've got to know what you want. Mm-hmm. 2, you've got to finish what you start. And 3, you've got to celebrate the process.
Okay, so
1, we've got to know what we want. 2, celebrate the process. Finish what we start. And 3, celebrate the process. It looks like you got a couple things coming in here. Are we having audio, video difficulties?
I'm fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you great. I can be on there. I can hear you perfectly.
I had a slight twitch, you say?
Yeah, absolutely. No big deal. It's problem solving. It's problem solving in perfection right here. Like, hey, we know the challenge and we just looked for a solution. Absolutely. And so those things right there, I think we got to understand the 3-part series of success. You got to know what you want. You got to finish what you start, and you got to celebrate the process. And what I've learned is most people don't know what they want. They don't know what they want, and the majority of us know what we don't want.
Exactly.
We don't know what we want, but the majority of us know what we don't want. And so there's some things that we can do to help discover what you truly, really want. And so I learned some of these things on how to deal with these challenges. I've coined it the P-squared mindset. You've got to develop a P-squared mindset, which is the possibility principle. So you've got the possibility principle, which I call the P-squared mindset. So you've got to develop this P-squared mindset to help you with these challenges, to help you with these 3-part series of success. And over these last 20 plus years, we have discovered those flecks of gold, as I call them. And we've refined them, we've defined them, and we've forged them into gold nuggets that people can practice, people can duplicate, and have the success that we've duplicated over these last 20 years. And so this P-squared mindset is based on some experiences that I had as a little kid, chasing down my dream of playing football in college, to the point where I fell 40 feet in between seasons. I got to taste the sweetness of success and played 2 downs in college, and got to experience what it would be like to, experience that dream of mine, which was to play football. And everyone told me, like, Griff, you can't play football in college. You're too short. You're too slow. You're too light. I get that. But I didn't get that. I didn't get the fact that most people reflect their limitations on our possibilities. We reject what we don't understand, and we base our possibilities on what we know. And so there's the paradox. There's the conflict. Because if we ever want to go do something we've never done before, we can't base it on what we know. We have to base it on what we believe is possible. We have to get past that circle of certainty. We got to go beyond the darkness, and we've got to take those steps into the darkness long before we ever see the end. Long before we ever experience our power and potential. And so absolutely, you've got to develop a P squared mindset. In fact, everyone who's listening right now, if you will contact me, send me an email at contact@griffinmotivation.com. I will send you and say possible. I want you to, in the subject line, you got to put possible, Possible, or posible or possible, whatever it is. I don't care. Something similar to that at contact@griffinmotivation.com. And we will send you our free PDF, the free P squared mindset PDF that you can use for these next 21 days to help develop that P squared mindset. Because Stephanie, I believe if you have that P squared mindset, there's 5 benefits that come from it. Can I share those? Do we have time to share those?
Yes, please. Let's do so.
So the first one is the P squared mindset helps you develop a dream that matches with your desire. And because as we were talking about before, most of us don't know what we want, but the majority of us know what we don't want. And so we have a tool called Dream Weaving. 10 minutes will change your life. And you can go to my shop and take a look at those things. But a lot of us have conflicting desires. How many of you guys want to lose weight? That's one of your desires, is I want to lose weight. Or one of your desires is I want to have better relationships. Or one of your desires is I want to make sure that I have, a relationship with my family. Or I want, I have a desire to get good grades in school. But we have conflicting desires. I want to lose weight, but I also want to just relax, lay back, and eat lots of food. I want to have good grades, but I also want to go play instead of study. In fact, I had this guy who was overweight. He was like, Jeff, I think I could lose some weight with you if I spend some time with you. I'm like, well, let's do it. He's like, no, I really do think I could, lose some weight if I spend some time. I'm like, well, let's do it. And in between sentences, he would take a drink from his big gulp. He's like, I really want to lose weight. And take a bite from his gulp. Have you experienced that before? If you have, give me a hands up. But there's this tug of war that happens. And we have conflicting desires. And if our desire isn't burning and doesn't match up with our dreams, none of this even matters. None of this even matters. And so right there at the very, very beginning, that P squared mindset will help you connect your desires with your dreams that will allow you to experience the unimaginable possibilities to create. And the floodgates open up and life turns into color instead of black and white. As you start to hear things and see things that you've never heard or seen before, and you're able to accomplish the things that you haven't ever accomplished before. That's just the first benefit. There's 4 more, but I'm not going to go into the other 4, but I just want you guys to understand that P squared mindset helps with those desires and dreams and connect them, because if your desires are not definite and do not match up with your dreams, you're not going to experience that unimaginable possibility to create and to creating color. And so absolutely, P squared mindset, it's free for you who put in the subject line posible, possible, whatever it is, at contact@griffinmotivation.com.
Perfect. Yeah, I put already your contact info. And I want to tell you, we have some audience from different parts of the world. You remember Roland Snellman? He was from Finland and he was also in the Congress. He's saying hi, Jeff. So it's great to have you here, Roland. And as well, we have Monique Chatlani. She's in Panama. Welcome, Monique, for being here. And she says, amazing. Where does he take his energy from? How does he keep his mind so optimistic and full of energy? Give us some tips, Jeff, please.
Monique, muchas gracias. Te amo. Absolutely. So here's the deal. I wasn't always this optimistic, this powerful, this positive. In fact, my wife, sorry, don't tell her that I called her my mom. My wife is sometimes telling me, Jeff, bring it down. Bring it down. You gotta bring it down. And I'm like, bring it up. Bring it up. That doesn't go too well. That doesn't go too well with your spouse there. But I wasn't always this optimistic and happy. And in fact, one thing that we need to do is really eliminate one word. If we eliminate one word from our vocabulary, things start to change. And that is, I can't. Mm-hmm. I can't. I can't is debilitating. I can't is poisonous. I can't is limiting. And John Assaraf said that by the time we're 17 years old, we use that word, I can't, 150,000 times.
Wow.
Compared to 5,000 times, I can. So eliminate that word, I can't. And maybe you can't right now. And a lot of times I would tell people, if you can't right now, say yet, I can't yet. But you're still telling yourself that you can't. So instead of saying I can't, just eliminate it completely and start to use, I'll find a way. I'll figure it out. What's the solution? How can we do this? There's got to be a way. And then if you start to look at things like that, as Dr. Wayne Dyer said, that as soon as you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change.
I love that phrase of him.
Don't you love that?
I love it. It's one of my favorites from him.
Yeah, because, and the thing is, you're like, but how do you do that? How do you flip the switch and reframe things? Because I wasn't always a positive person. How do you tell somebody who wants to lose, who wants to lose weight or who's overweight to lose weight? How do you tell somebody who is sad to be happy? How do you tell somebody who's negative to be positive? How do you tell somebody to be faithful when they're fearful? And so you've got to flip the switch. You've got to reframe things. And it's the paradox principle, where 32 degrees Fahrenheit is the temperature for melting, and 32 degrees Fahrenheit is the temperature for freezing. It's the same temperature. It melts, it freezes. So what is it? It just depends on which direction you're going to. And so flipping the switch and reframing things. You got to learn to be able to look at the positive, even in the worst of circumstances. And I believe you can. I really do. I believe, my mother grew up on a farm in northern Utah. She was born in between the World War II and the Great Depression. And she didn't see a balloon until she was 11 years old.
Wow.
But she learned some very valuable life lessons on that farm. And as a dairy farm, the dairy farm daughter, and being the oldest, she had to do a lot of chores. And so she had to do a lot of scooping of poop. She had to scoop poop, and she was knee high in it. Mm-hmm. They used that to fertilize their fields, to make things grow. And so when I was her age at 10 years old, I walked into her office and saw this little note that said, challenges are like manure or poop. Mm-hmm. Challenges are like poop. They sure do stink, but they certainly help things grow.
Wow.
And so how are we able to flip the switch and change things into a positive, like these challenges that we're experiencing right now? How do we flip the switch and reframe things as like, what, this is one of the greatest things that is happening right now, this COVID, this crisis, these things that are crashing down on us, and flip it into a positive. We're not changing anything other than the way we look at it and the way we approach it. And so for me, I even try to simplify that quote from my mom and say, how do I take my crap and turn it into a crop?
Yeah. No, definitely. And it makes all the difference. And I think it's a very good tip for now, everybody living the COVID-19. And some people are seeing it as the worst happening, and we can flip it. And I think it's a blessing. It's a blessing in many, many ways.
Yeah. In fact, I tell people all the time, I'm grateful to be in a wheelchair. I'm grateful to be in a wheelchair, dissatisfied, but grateful. And there's been so many good things that have come out of being in a wheelchair. And I've been able to, I went from 6'1" to 4'7" overnight.
Yeah.
I was an athlete in college, best shape of my life. And I fell 40 feet, stuck the landing, broke my back, changed my life forever. I was given a life sentence. And so I literally saw things different. I was 4'7" now instead of 6'1", so I figuratively and literally saw things different.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned to look at things to the point where I've learned that different isn't always better, but better is always different.
That's true. I like that. I like that a lot.
So how are we going to make this situation
better
and turn it into a positive, to make it better? And so we've got to learn how to flip the switch and reframe things, which comes with the P squared mindset. So it's going back to the P squared mindset, where we flip the switch, we reframe things. For example, I'm going to give the audience some time to respond to this. But what do most people say the opposite of success is? What's the opposite of success? If you can put it into one word, what do most people describe the opposite of success?
Please write it down.
Yeah, let's see if we have any responders here.
That would be great. And meanwhile, I'm going to read, because some of the comments that we have. Please. Roland wrote again, and it's great to see you both of your faces, Jeff and Anna. We should make a Congress reunion sometime in the future. That would be amazing.
Come over to Utah.
Yeah, woo. Yeah, whenever we can. I mean, our airport here is still closed.
I know, I can't believe that.
Yeah. And Usama from Sweden, he's also here. Hi, Usama. It's great to have you here. Hi, Anna. Hi, Jeff. Any tips on how to find your passion in life?
How to find your passion? That is a good question.
Very deep one.
Absolutely. By the way, first of all, on our emails, I have Stephanie. Have I been calling you the wrong name? It said, hi, Anna. Is it Anna or Stephanie?
No, Anna? Stephanie.
Okay, I'm like, I'm calling you the wrong name. I'm like,
no, I use both. But don't worry.
So how do you find your passion? Absolutely. And here's the thing. I don't know if you've ever watched that old Disney Jungle Book cartoon, where you have the three vultures that are voiced by the Beatles. And by the way, the Beatles got it right. The greatest thing we need is love. We do. Yeah. We need to love. We need to love our neighbors. We need to love ourselves. We need to love God who created us. But these three vultures are on this tree, and they're like, hey, what do you want to do? And they're like, I don't know what you want to do. And it's like, no, don't start that again. What do you want to do? I'm like, I don't know what you want to do. And so I don't know if you've ever been with some friends who are like, hey, let's go out to dinner. Like, okay, what do you want to eat? I don't care, whatever you want to eat. They're like, okay, well, let's go get Italian. They're like, no, I want Italian. You're like, well, I thought you said you didn't care. Like, well, no, I don't care. Like, okay, well, fine. Let's go get Mexican. No, I don't want either. I'm like, I thought you said you don't care. Like, yeah, I don't want Mexican. I don't want Italian. Whatever.
But I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm like, well, obviously you do care. So going back to this idea of people don't know what they want, but the majority of us know what we don't want. And so the question is how do you find your passion? Because it's very difficult to find your passion when you don't know what you want, but you do know what you don't want. And so you're not going to find your passion focusing on what you don't want. And unfortunately, we get what we focus on. The Formula race car drivers will tell you, I will look straight. I won't look into the wall. I won't look to the side because that's where my hands go. So I go to the wall, I go into the wall. So if I'm looking at things that I don't want, that's what I'm going to get. I don't want to be lonely. Well, what do you want then? What do you really want? So going back to that first step of success, there's success in the 3-part series. And by the way, I asked you guys, what's the opposite of success? I don't know if we have any answers yet.
Yeah, Monique said apatía. That's apathy in English.
Right? Apathy. Apathy is the opposite of success. I love it. Were there any other responses out there?
No, not yet.
Not
but
yet.
apathy is a great one.
So what would you say?
For me, would be, to don't get up again. Just like in Spanish we say tirar la toalla, just to, I don't care anymore.
Lie down on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Lie down on the floor and quit.
Quit. That would be the word, quit. Tirar la toalla is a slang in Spanish for quitting.
So throw the towel.
Throw the towel. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we throw the towel in. As a boxer is fighting, they throw the towel in, like, no mas.
That would be for me the opposite.
Okay. And so again, going back to this idea, so what do most people think the opposite of success is? Well, and back to this question, how do you find your passion? So what we need to do here, and this goes along with the P squared mindset. The P squared mindset is going to help you change and flip the switch and start to focus on what you want instead of what you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
I call it dream weaving. Dream weaving takes 10 minutes, will change your life. I'm not going to get into it, but we learned some of these things when we were in Sweden. And I'm trying to remember who the gentleman was who talked about focusing on what you don't want to get what you want. And I've been doing this for 20 years. And what I do is I ask my students to just take 1 minute, 60 seconds to quickly go down and write down the things they want. They hit a wall, right? They run out of things they want. So I'm like, okay, stop. We'll do 60 seconds of what you don't want. 9 times out of 10, 90% of the time, the person who does this assignment this activity will end up with a longer list of things that they don't want.
Of course.
Just to go back with and validate this idea of we don't know what we want, we do know what we don't want. So then what I do is I'm like, okay, well, let's do this. Let's take the things that you don't want. Let's transfer them over to the page that you do want. So for example, I don't want to be lonely. What does that person want?
Mm-hmm. He wants to be with other people, surrounded by loved ones, for example.
Absolutely. I don't want to be lonely. I want some companionship. I don't want to be poor. So what does that person want?
Money.
I want to be wealthy. I want to be rich. I want to have some plata, some oro, some, I want some money. Absolutely. But what's interesting is we're too afraid, for whatever reason, to declare what we want.
Mm-hmm.
And we can go into that a whole lot more, but we're not going to. But we're afraid to declare what we want. And a lot has to stem back to when we were younger. When we tell people what we want, they always tell us that you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't have that. No. People told me, Griff, you can't play football. And so we've got to continue to feel into our minds that what we want to come out.
Yeah.
So how do we find our passion? Well, a lot of people who are older in life, they've been put into all the things that they don't want. And so it's difficult for them to find out what they do want. So just dump it all out there of what you don't want, and then you transfer it over to what you do want. I had this one lady say, I don't want to feel like a monster. That is a huge, huge negative hang-up. That
statement about yourself.
Absolutely. But it was brave of her to say that as well. And it was looking at about 5 things that came out of what she really wants because of that one statement. I don't want to feel like a monster. I want to be appreciated. I want to be validated. I want to feel important. I want to be the queen I truly am. Are just a few of these examples there. And so dream weaving. Go and do it. Dream weaving will help you find those passions and experiment, because it goes back to the question I asked. I don't know if there's been any other people.
Yeah, we have. Usama answered negativity. Roland said lack in different ways. And then Anita from Guatemala, she's asking something. You mentioned 2 great lessons. Could you please repeat them? One was about your mom said relating poop and challenges.
Yeah.
And the other one was about better and different.
Yes, absolutely. I would be happy to do that. So my mom said that challenges are like poop. or manure, or you can use whatever word you want. But challenges are like poop. They sure do stink, but they certainly help things grow. And that's part of the P squared mindset, by the way. I think it's like the third one there. It's where we've got to embrace the process. We've got to embrace the process, because most of us focus on the promise and the blessings, and we abort the process because we want the promise. But it's the process that allows us to obtain the promise. And so we need to embrace the process. And part of the process is the answer to what we've been asking. What's the opposite of success? And most people will say the opposite of success is failure, right? And I disagree 100%, because I've never met anyone who has not failed their way to success. You're going to stumble. You're going to fall. You're going to make mistakes. You're not going to get it right the first time. And that's okay. But most people think that, oh, shoot, if the opposite of success is failure, and if I made a mistake and I failed, then I'm unsuccessful. I'm not even going to try. And so I believe the opposite of success is to not quit, as you mentioned. Just don't quit.
Yeah.
Not even try.
That's true. That's true. Anita also said that the opposite of success for her is paralysis. And Carlos, he's in the US, he's saying lack of passion.
Absolutely right. And so here we go. How do we find this passion? Well, you got to dream weave. Well, okay, I got to put some time into dream weaving here. I've got to develop my desire. And so often we go straight to give me the tools to get the results. But we skip two major parts before we get to that, before we get to that third part. And we got to identify our desires, dreams, roles, and goals. And we've got to establish holy habits and righteous routines, or processes and procedures, to get us to where we are consistently consistent. And of course, the third one is produce. We've got to produce, right? We want to produce these winning results with a winning team. And but the problem is, and then of course the fourth one is to maximize our momentum. But the problem is so many people want to go to steps 3 and 4 that they fail to identify and establish these things. And so that the other let me just quickly finish that thought that was asked about, challenges like poop. They sure do stink, but they certainly help things grow. And the second one is, different isn't always better, but better is always different. And so, we've got to start doing things different. If we continue to do the same things over and over and over and over again, the same way we've done before, that's called insanity. We don't want to be insane. We don't want to be crazy, but so many of us continue to do the same things over and over and over again and expect different results. Exactly. And of course, we want to change that. We want to help people understand that, you may be paralyzed right now. You may be mentally paralyzed right now. The things that you've been taught and been given aren't giving you the results. That's okay. You can change. You can course correct. And, with the religious people, they call it repentance, to repent. It's a Greek word, metanoeo, which means to change the mind. And so that's all that is let's course correct. Let's figure out the laws that will give me the result I'm looking for. And so absolutely. I love those responses. Great question here. I know that we've hit our 30-minute mark. I got a few more minutes here if you want to, but is there any other questions going on here?
Yes, please do questions. And I want to ask you one more question. But before that, I just want to tell the audience, the ones that join a little bit later, we are talking with Jeff Griffin. He's an American silver medalist in wheelchair basketball, an NWBA national champion, a 4-time All-Star MVP, and he also has 2 Guinness World Records, and he's a writer and a speaker. Did you know that people spend an average of $10,000 annually in things as a consequence of stress, like therapies, drugs, compulsive shopping, wine, junk food, etc.? I would like to help you refocus this and work a plan so you can use stress in your favor. I'm evaluating running a virtual retreat to achieve this. So if you're interested, please drop me a line. I'm going to put the link here, the email address, so you can write me. And I also put on the chat box, Jeff is offering to send us the P-square process that he uses. So if you send him an email on contact.griffinmotivation and the subject line possible, he'll send you the P-square process. So my last question to you, Griff, while people continue asking some things before we wrap this up, is how did you develop a mindset to prepare for future challenges?
Yeah, that's a great question. What I've learned is the past doesn't exist. The future doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is right now. But with that said, you can learn from the past and you can prepare for the future while still living right now. And one thing I've learned is it's important for us to look back occasionally. I call them personal inventories, to do a personal inventory to find out where you've been and where you are. And then, of course, you've got to look to the future and find out where you want to go. Now, here's what we've been talking about these last 30 minutes, these last 40 minutes is, I don't know how many of you guys have ever felt that you know what to do. How many of you guys have been told what to do and you know what to do, but you're not doing what you know? Does that make sense?
Definitely.
I know what to do. Don't tell me this again. I've heard it all the time. I know what to do. Okay,
but
so
I'm not doing it.
Absolutely. So are you doing what you know? And a lot of times the answer is no. No, I'm not doing. I'm lying to myself. I'm lying to my friends. I'm lying to my neighbors. I've just been lying to myself. Just lie. And so what we need to do here is like, how do I bridge this gap?
Mm-hmm.
How do I bridge this gap of knowing what to do and doing what I know? And then going back to the question is how do you develop this P-squared mindset? How do you develop the ability to cross the bridge?
Mm-hmm.
To cross the bridge. And these were just some of the tools that I've been sharing. Again, going back to that first one is you've got to develop a P-squared mindset. That is what's going to help you do that. And if you send it out there, I'll give you just a simple little thing here that's going to help you here. But I want you to understand too that I've shared 3 things that come with the P-squared mindset. Your desires and dreams, to how to develop your desires and dreams. The dream weaving will help you with the passions in your dreams. And then of course the second one is failure. Give yourself permission to fail, especially when you're learning something new, because failures at first are triumphs at last, as long as you just don't quit. Now, of course, we want to get to a point where we don't want to fail. We don't want to, have those excuses. I don't want my pilot to fail. I don't want my surgeon to fail. I don't want my therapist to fail me in giving me things that really don't work and that they're guessing. And so we've got to get to that point where we do have success and that we are consistently consistent. And of course, the third one is to enjoy the process. And the process is learning how to get back up. And of course, there's strength in the struggle. There's strength in the struggle. And so be comfortable being uncomfortable, learning new things. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. So this is what I want you to do. This kind of like culminates the whole P-squared mindset here. But listeners, if you wouldn't mind doing me a favor, and I want you to interlock your fingers. And you can do it. You don't have to do it up here like in front of the thing. I don't have to do it.
I'm doing it so people can see it.
You're interlocking the fingers here where it's comfortable. You're like, yeah, this is nice. So I want you to look at your thumbs. Now I want you to raise your hand or give a shout out if your left thumb is on top of your right hand, if that makes sense. So if your left thumb is on top of your right hand, raise your hand. Because if so, you're normal. Because that's how I do it. It has nothing to do with being normal or not, but that's just how I do it.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah,
I did it the other way.
Okay, and so if you're like Stephanie, you're amazing. Normal, Stephanie, amazing. And so do me a favor. I don't want you to just change the thumbs here. I want you to change your fingers to where it's completely different. So now those who had their left thumb on top of their right hand, now they have their right thumb on top of their left hand. How does that feel?
Strange.
Strange. So go back and forth. See if you can go back and forth, right? In fact, separate it about and then try to go back and forth in there. It's some people are like, ooh, yucky, icky, nasty. And so what's interesting here is we don't understand this concept of when we're learning something new, there's going to be pushback. There's going to be pushback from our old programming. There's going to be pushback from our peers. There's going to be pushback from other people. And so the P squared mindset has an opposite P squared, the antithesis. There's going to be programming in our peers that are going to push back at us changing. Mm-hmm. We've got to be aware of what's happening here. In fact, tonight when you go to bed and you brush your teeth, brush it with your non-dominant hand and see what happens. See if you can get through the whole process. Because that's what we're asking people to do who haven't done that before. Mm-hmm. Do something they've never done before, and it's yucky, icky. And that's why we stop doing what we do, because it doesn't feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. And so you've got to establish that process, and those, I call them holy habits and righteous routines. And you've got to understand that there is going to be pushback, and be prepared for that pushback. And that's why it's so important to develop this. And so I've created a little book here. You guys can get this digitally. It's called Endless Possibilities: The 90-Day Recipe for World Record Results. And we can send this out to you digitally here, but it's the tool that helps you establish those righteous routines and holy habits to where you're consistently consistent. And they say that it takes 21 days to create a habit. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting is that study says that it's 21 days to 265. And somebody just chose 21. Like, hey, 3 weeks, that's easy. We can do that. Yeah. But it's 21 days to start a habit. It takes 66 days to make it automatic. Mm-hmm. And then if you're at 66, why not just go, 14 more days and make it 90? So the 90-day, recipe for world record results. And so it kind of helps you with that process to be consistent, to get past the pushback. We want to help you get past the pushback. And so if I can, and I'm going to end with the last benefit that comes with the P squared mindset. And then maybe we could take one. I know we're gone.
Yeah, one more question. We have one important.
And we can do one more question as well, if that's okay. And well, maybe let's go with the question first, and then I'll save the fifth one for last.
Perfect. This is Silvana Pereira. It's great to have you here, Silvana. Hi, thanks for the general reflection. It's not clear to me yet how these thoughts about general motivation connect to emotional distress. It's a specific type of fear that arises from the inability to either confront or flee from the painful situation. Could you expand about this from a more technical, professional perspective? Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for asking that question and asking for some clarification here. And it goes back to our programming. It goes back to our early onset on how we have established our paradigms, to how we look at things. And so what's interesting is by the time we're 0 to 5, or depends on the study, from 0 to 5 or 0 to 8, our subconscious mind is completely open to have just this information dump. And so our image, our self-image was created by our parents, our caregivers, our natural surroundings, the triggers that are hitting us everywhere we're going. And if we're in the foster care system or other places, it could be a grandma and grandpa or other places. It could be the radio, it could be the TV. There's some kids that are just plopped right in front of the TV and say, you know what, entertain yourself. Mm-hmm. So we're just letting that information go into our subconscious mind. And so what we have to be aware of is this mental paralysis is we have to understand how desires are developed. And I didn't have time to go into that and how to dissect a desire. And the desire is simply a thought. Mm-hmm. And so what's happened here is we have the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. And so by the time we're either 5 to 8 years old, we've had all that information dumped into us. And so we have started to develop, we call it self-image, but really it's other image. Other people have established our image, has established our thinking, has established the way we look and view at things. And so what's happened here is, for example, my youngest daughter, she hears her two older sisters laugh all the way at the opposite end of the house. She hears them laugh. What does she do? She associates that laughter with anger. She's like, my sisters are laughing at me because of previous experiences. Mm-hmm. So because her sisters have laughed at her or made fun of her, she has associated their laughter with her, making fun of her, right? But does that laughter always associate with that experience?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. In fact, what's interesting here is a lot of times, most of the time, not. And so we always talk about with this pushback, right? Who makes the decision on how we feel and how we think?
We.
The other person or we?
No, we do.
But how many times have we said, you make me so angry?
Because we're not taking responsibility. We're not accountable for what we're thinking or feeling.
Right. And so we're like, oh, no, you're making me so mad. And I don't know if you've ever had this conversation with a partner. You're like, and you're like complaining and and all of a sudden the phone rings. And you answer the phone and you flip the switch like, hello? Yeah. Uh-huh. Absolutely. Yeah. And as soon as we hang up the phone, bam, we flip the switch back.
It's so true.
And so this idea of flipping the switch on our mental paralysis, because we don't understand how our desires and our thoughts are developed. And so what we've done is we've allowed what's happened in the past and how we've interpreted those emotions and those feelings to dictate the outcome. And so, I wrote this down because it just hit me, and I'm like, man, I've got to make sure that I write down this divine download. And so I wrote this down. Emotions are part of being human. Emotions vary in intensity. Emotions are associated with experiences. We interpret our emotions as either positive or negative based on the experience. And so for years, we have been interpreting these emotions a specific way. I feel this emotion. I've defined it and I've associated it with a certain experience. It doesn't always have to be that way, but because I just allowed my subconscious mind to develop that paradigm and that programming, that's how I accept it. You make me so mad. If somebody comes and cuts you off in a car, you feel this emotion.
Yeah.
And this emotion is then defined and described as either a positive or a negative. Can't we change how we define? Who has control? And so have you ever associated an emotion as a negative experience, but over time saw it as a positive experience? What changed?
I have.
What changed? Did the emotion change?
No.
Or did our definition change? How we describe
how we saw what happened. How it was a little bit what we were talking at the beginning from Wayne Dyer's. The way you view the way you view things is the way you interpret them.
Yeah. And so going back and just to finalize this, so many of us think that that's not possible. My sister and her husband experienced a loss in the family. My sister's husband was a cop and he was executed. He was eating pizza. A guy came in, shot him in the back of the head, and executed him. And it was a big, huge national thing here in the United States. And my sister, 5 years later, still couldn't talk about it. She was still emotionally distressed. She was still upset about this experience. And she told me, she's like, Jeff, I don't think I'll ever get over it.
Wow. And
so what has she defined and what has she, created with this emotion? It was a very powerful emotion. Like, I'll never get over it. It's impossible to get over. So she has created these limitations. She's created these things. And while we were in Sweden, there was a guy who got burned from a fire. And that's an amazing story. We won't get into that.
Amazing story.
And we also learned, too, from Dr. Alistair Dobbins, who said you can call it PTSD, you can call it depression, you can call it anxiety, you can call it whatever you want to call it. But he's like, it all boils down to emotional distress and how we define it. And so I simply asked my sister, I'm like, I won't say her name, I'm like, have you ever even thought of the possibility that you can get over this? That you can use this for your benefit? And her husband flipped the switch. She's like, I never saw it that way before. Maybe I can use this as a benefit. Maybe I can see this as a positive. Maybe this isn't a negative that we thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. And it was his brother that was executed and killed, but it was my sister who was having this hang up of, I'll never be able to get over this. Mm-hmm. And so most of us believe that there's so many limitations out there. And so this mental paralysis of the possibilities because of our past. We don't think our future is possible because of our past. And that's what I want to end here with this fifth one, the P-squared mindset does. And that is this. A P-squared mindset helps you with hope. It helps you develop hope. Angela Duckworth, who wrote the author of Grit, said that gritty people are hopeful people. I like to think that hopeful people are gritty people. And to me, hope is the ability to reach out to the future and grab onto your dreams and bring it back to the present in spite of your past. We've all had some nasty things that happen. All pain hurts. And so this mental paralysis, it's keeping us. It's really keeping us. It all starts with the mind. Mm-hmm. 100% mental. Everything we do in life is 100% mental. The way we practice, the way we prepare, the way we perform, it's all mental. And so if we can understand how our conscious and subconscious mind works and how the pushback and the programming has been developed and how it's going to push back as we try to go forward with hope, things become exciting. Things become new and fresh. Like, you know what? I do have this ability. I can harness and bridle these emotions and use them as a positive.
I love your words. Thanks, Jeff, so much. I think to finish and wrap this up, it's amazing what you said. I mean, hope is what we need to continue following and chasing our dreams because it's possible. And yeah. I don't know what else to say. I think it's amazing what everything you told us, all the things you mentioned today are really great gifts to all of this community. So I'm very, very thankful. I want to thank the audience. You were amazing and you participated a lot. We extended the time a lot. So I apologize for that, Jeff, but I think it was great. So for those of you who have been here before, most of these Facebook Lives are in Spanish, but from time to time we make them in English. So I'm going to leave you a website in case you want to contact me, and the website is in Spanish, but you can contact us anytime. And you have Jeff's contact details as well. If you want to contact him, don't forget to send an email to contact@griffinmotivation.com. With the subject line possible, so you get the P-square mindset process. So, Jeff, any last words for our audience today, please?
You are the solution to impossible. You are the solution to impossible. Not them, not anyone else. You are this. You have the ability to accomplish your dreams and desires. You have the tools to adapt, to create, to tap into. That invisible power that will help you stand up and take those steps. Inch by inch is a cinch. Yard by yard is hard. And I don't know where they came up with this analogy. Like you can't eat an elephant in one bite. I'm like, who eats elephants?
Exactly.
You can't eat a cow in one bite. But I'm sure most of us has consumed cows over our lifetime. And if you don't like the meat analogy, you can't consume the whole garden in one bite. Inch by inch is a cinch, yard by yard is hard. We can focus on what we can do, or we can focus on what we can't do. And I had zero movement, zero ability to stand 20 plus years ago. But I would go out to the front of the hospital and I would see myself exercising. I'd see myself doing leg presses. I'd see myself walking down the street. I'd see myself climbing the mountain outside my window. 9,711 feet. I just summited. I walked it. 3 hours it took me to walk to the top when I was never told I could stand again. I went 10 feet in Sweden for the audience. If you go and take a look at that video, you can see me being able to climb to the top of the mountain. I will walk and not faint. I will run and not be weary. I will have a full recovery in a reasonable amount of time. It's been 20 plus years. People are like, that doesn't seem reasonable to me. But if I start to run and walk without any assistance within 60 years, that's still better than never.
That's true.
By inch is a cinch. Most of us are paralyzed with so much information. We're paralyzed with some misinformation, and we don't do anything. And so I would encourage your listeners that you are the solution to impossible. This possibility principle, it's free. You can use it. We've got other tools as well. But thank you so much for allowing me to spend some time with you. Again, we doubled our time. And so hopefully there's some people still here. They're like 30 minutes, I'm out of here. But
I think they are. They're excited. I believe they participated a lot. So thank you again. And thank you guys. It's great to see you and hope to see you soon. Have a great week. Bye.